Hello, friends. Our Jim Nantz and Houston grad in the house before he heads to Augusta later this week. Pull in for Kelvin Sampson and the Cougars to win their first national title in school history. Standing in their way, a Florida program looking for national title number 3. Early first half, Javier Francis rocking the rim. Posterizes Thomas Houck. What a finish. 6 minutes left in the first half. Like a hand locked in. Rejected by Francis in transition. Emmanuel Sharp to Malik Wilson. Go get it, young fella. Houston by 5. What a sequence there for the Cougars. Next Houston possession. Cryer to Wilson. Ball fake. The bank is open. Got it. Caps an 8-0 Cougars run. Meantime, Chip, Florida's best player, Walter Clayton Jr., struggling.
Houston did a fantastic job. They applied pressure. They had multiple bodies on them. They got their hands in there, and it kept Clayton scoreless in the first half.
Held scoreless in the first half for just the second time this season, 0 of 4 from the field. But Florida only down 3 at the break. As for Houston's best player, L.J. Cryer, 5 points in the opening 20, but then catching fire. Cryer was on the Baylor team that won the title in 2021. A couple minutes later, Cryer for 3, up 10. Oh, they're feeling it.
L.J. Cryer, one of the best three-point shooters in the Big 12 and the country. They needed him and Jawan Roberts to be able to come up big.
The 6th-year senior, Jawan Roberts, giving Houston a 12-point lead, their largest of the game. But here come the Gators, down 6. Thomas Houck. My name is Thomas Houck, and I get buckets. Down 3 after the made free throw. 4 minutes later, Clayton Jr. and 1. A 14-3 Gators run after the made free throw ties the game at 48. Clayton's first made field goal up the game. Next Florida possession. Houck to Clayton Jr. Up and in. We're tied at 51 after another made free throw. Clayton Jr. getting hot as he has all tournament long. Under 5 minutes left. Francis on the putback. Cougars up 3. Minute later, Clayton Jr., you knew he was going to do this, Chip.
This was when Florida had to know the championship was there for the taking. Their guy is going. The game is tied. Less than 3 minutes left.
9 of his 11 in the final 8. Cryer, no. Tip in. Up 2. Now with 14 second half points. Big boy bucket. Under a minute left. Elijah Martin fouled by JoJo Tugler. That's 5. He's out of the game. So Martin, a 75% free throw shooter with a chance to tie and take the lead. Here's the first attempt. Got to the Final Four with FAU. Now in the national championship. Makes them both, and Florida has the lead. They've only led for 17 seconds all night. Ensuing Houston possession. Emmanuel Sharp drives. Will Richard reaches in. Off of Sharp's leg, out of bounds. Florida basketball. Oh!
Houston turnovers, but Florida's defense was so big. They were handsy in a good way and getting the Gators to what they needed to be.
Houston calls their last time out. Down 2. 10 seconds left. Emmanuel Sharp, you cannot do that, young man. Alex Condon dives on it, and time expires. Chomp, chomp. More like champ, champ, as they stun Kelvin Sampson and Houston. Chip, the way that ended for the Cougars, heartbreaker.
They ran a play to get Emmanuel Sharp a look. Emmanuel Sharp, a fearless three-point shooter who has come up big so many times for them in the NCAA tournament, but a terrible, terrible mistake. 3 turnovers on the final 3 possessions for the Cougars, 4 turnovers in the final 2:05.
Florida wins its 3rd national title in school history, tied for the 3rd largest comeback win in national title game history. They led for a total of 64 seconds. In the end, it's 65-63. Houston over the final 2 minutes and 5 seconds, 0 points, 4 turnovers, and Todd Golden, the youngest head coach at 39 years old, to win the national title since Jim Valvano in 1983, who famously beat Houston. National champions for the 3rd time in school history, the Gators ended the game on a 35-21 run. They led this game for just 64 seconds. When the clock runs out, that's all that matters. Stunning Kelvin Sampson and Houston, and it's the Gators getting the national championship in San Antonio.
And a jubilant podium it is, as the Florida Gators are celebrating a national championship. But San Antonio, what a job over the last few days. 3 incredible games to get us to this point. Bubba Cunningham, chairman of the selection committee, which had 4 #1 seeds advance to San Antonio and these great matchups. How would you best describe it, Bubba?
Just an outstanding tournament. So on behalf of the NCAA Men's Basketball Committee, congratulations to the University of Florida Gators, the 2025 National Champions.
Coach Golden, where is Todd? How are you?
I'm amazing.
Hey, this was your first chance. You're only 39 years old, too, okay? You're the youngest head coach since Jimmy Valvano to claim a national championship. What does that mean to you?
I've just been incredibly blessed. I have an amazing staff. We clearly have the best team in America. And in 3 short years in Gainesville, we got the basketball program back where it belongs, which is raising trophies, playing in Final Fours, and competing for national championships. Just super fortunate to be with this group right here.
Look, in this run, you knocked out the reigning 2-time champions. You knocked out 2 #1 seeds to stand here tonight. And you had to do it in come-from-behind fashion, too. Where does the belief come when you're down 12 in the second half and there's a struggle in the midst of this?
Our perimeter, our senior leaders have been amazing all year. They've kept us poised. They've kept us centered, grounded. We've had to come back quite a bit this tournament, as you said. But these guys have been elite with their composure, and our young guys in the front court fight like hell for these seniors every day. They compete, and they find a way to win. They are winners. They continue to find a way to win.
Hey, I know that like a lot of coaches, you have dreamt of this moment. My last question for you is, how do you like the view from up here?
It's amazing. Thank you, Gator Nation. Thank you for coming and showing out for the Gators tonight. We love you guys. I'm glad we were able to make you proud tonight. Go Gators, baby!
Can I get Walter Clayton Jr.? Walter, because the most outstanding player here in San Antonio, Walter Clayton Jr.
Appreciate you. Hey, man, Gator Nation, man, we appreciate y'all. All the hard work we put in together. You know, and that came to fruition, man. We done did it. So, man, shout out Gator Nation, man. Go Gators. The boys stay hot.
Walter, how do you navigate a game like this? You're coming off back-to-back 30-point games. And then you don't get a bucket until 8 minutes to go in the game. How did you stay positive? How did you navigate this night?
Man, we've been saying it all year, man. Our motto is, we all can go, man. We got a team full of guys that could go. It ain't just by me. We got multiple guys on this go that can go get a bucket and do anything. So my team held me down until I was able to put the ball in the basket. Shout out to them boys.
Yes, sir. Congratulations to you. Congratulations on that little daughter of yours, too, as well. I know this is going to be a great celebration for you.
Appreciate you. Gator boys stay hot, man.
These are your national champion Florida Gators. Congratulations, and again, thanks, San Antonio.
Wow, what a season for the Florida Gators, capping it with their 3rd national championship in school history. What they did in this tournament was incredible, coming back from multiple second-half deficits. When they needed a big bucket, they got it, mostly from Walter Clayton Jr., but on this night it was Will Richard. It was others stepping up for the Gators, and Florida, national champions. CBS Sports HQ presented by Belfour Property Restoration. Back out to San Antonio. Cavalcade of stars, Avery Johnson, Hunter Dickinson, Tim Doyle. Avery, your reaction to what went down at the end of that game, because for me that was absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to Kelvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars. Magnificent season. They had a 12-point lead, but these Florida Gators, chop, chop, chop. Man, they played magnificent. magnificent. And while Walter Clayton Jr., I know he was the MVP or most outstanding player, Will Richard won this game for them because his 18 points was crucial. Earlier today, our producer Lucas, we talked about this game, and he asked me who was my X factor for Florida, and that's why I said Will Richard, because they were going to trap Walter Clayton Jr., try to get the ball out of his hands. Walter Clayton Jr. scored his first basket with 7 minutes and 54 seconds left in his game, and he finished with 11. So he closed extremely well, but this Florida Gators team, they were the best team in the country, and they won with their C-plus effort today, Hunter.
Yeah, I agree, Coach. I mean, Richard was carrying them in the first half. Without them, they would have been down multiple double digits. It's funny, they should have just asked to be down 10 at the start of the game. They could have got that out the way, but it was crazy. Houston had 4 turnovers in the first 36 minutes. They had 3 turnovers in the last minute. I mean, very unlike a Kelvin Sampson-led team where they were just turning over. You got to get a shot at the end of the game. It's just really unfortunate. It's a great play call, but even better defense by Florida.
Yeah, you know, this was the theme, Hakeem, in San Antonio. Whoever was winning ended up losing. And it was a 12-point lead for Houston. I don't know how you guys felt, but it looked like they were pretty much in control. But this has been the Florida Gators all tournament long. UConn come back. Texas Tech come back. Down 9 to Auburn, come back. Walter Clayton Jr., they like pushing that button. Tonight he didn't answer the call of what he was, but he got help. Will Richard was great. Alex Condon finally started playing around. But if you're Houston, you shot 35% from the field, 6 of 25 from 3. You got out-rebounded. You missed 5 free throws. You only had 5 assists. You lost by 2 points. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, and also remember with Houston, their 3-point shooters on their starting lineup, they were a combined 5 for 22. And that's one of the keys to victory that we talked about before the game. Florida had to defend the 3-point line.
Hey, Avery, when you look at that ending, that's one of the most brutal endings that Houston has ever seen, and they have been a part of some really brutal endings when they faced NC State. And you think about when they faced Georgetown in the national championship. And now here, for that to end that way, for this team, for this coach, that is just absolutely brutal.
Yes, it is. And on that particular set, that's kind of an elevator screen where they actually was running a 3-point play for Sharp. So I was a little bit surprised with not trying to get something going towards the basket, maybe an old-fashioned 3-point play, but that play was a design play to get Emmanuel Sharp a 3, and unfortunately for Houston, Florida defended it extremely well.
Yeah, it was one of those plays where there was a ball screen to try to get all the guys looking one way, and it's a double pin down for the guy coming off. It's a really good play, but they stunned it off the passer really well. The coaches always say this on a pin down, any type of pin down screen, whoever's guarding the passer, once they pass the ball, you got to stunt to it to take away that curl. They stunned it great and took away the 3-point shot, which led to a turnover.
Tim, let me ask you something.
Anticlimactic, right? It was kind of.
Let me ask you something, Tim. When Houston was up by 12, were you shaking in your boots? Or were you like, hey, this game is far from over?
I was shaking in my boots, yeah. I thought Houston had total control. At that point, when they were up 12, Walter Clayton Jr. wasn't doing anything, and he wasn't getting anything going. But once they got it to inside of 8, and then you were like, oh, if they get a stop, hit a 3. You know, Will Richard was outstanding. In previous 2 games, he was a non-factor, struggled from deep. And Alex Condon, we called him out before the game.
Yep.
Because we felt like Houston was going to get the ball out of Walter Clayton's hands. Previous 2 games, Walter Clayton, 6 assists. 2 games combined. Tonight, 7 assists. So the guys like Condon, I know he didn't look necessarily 100% comfortable all the time, but he made enough plays. He had 4 big big steals. You had the last steal of the game. But if you're the Houston Cougars, you had the pace, you had the defense, you were turning Florida over. Everything was pointed in their direction. This is a tough pill to swallow. You get so close and to come up that short.
Avery, what does it say about this Florida squad that Houston was able to hold Walter Clayton Jr. to 11 points and they still were able to find a way?
That's one of the reasons why I believed in Florida. People were too attractive to their offense and how sexy their offense was, and they could score 80, 85 points. I also saw a team against UConn, and I continue to go back to this game, that can win ugly against the two-time defending champs, where they can get, offensive rebounds on a free throw miss like Elijah Martin and finish it. Where, maybe a Walter Clayton Jr. is struggling a little bit, and then he can turn it on and drive to the basket and score. And tonight was the night to beat Florida. If you were going to beat Florida, it was tonight. But Florida was so good that they could win, unlike any other team in the Final Four. They can win with a C-plus performance against a gutsy, gritty University of Houston Cougars team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you would have told us before the game Walter Clayton Jr. is going to have 0 points at halftime and 11 points into the game, I think all of us would have agreed that Florida was going to lose that game. And the way, like Tim said, the game was really going like a slugfest. It was a rock fight back and forth, and that really favors Houston. You saw it. They were killing them on the offensive glass. We said Condon, I think it took them a while to get used to the physicality of the game because, like I said earlier, it's hard to kind of simulate what that Houston offensive rebounding is going to be like. So I think it took them a little bit to get comfortable, but I was super shocked and surprised at how willing Walter Clayton was able to get off the basketball and be unselfish. And then when it came, crunch time, he started to take over and make more plays, get downhill, and kind of beat that trap in the ball screen.
Yeah, I mean, the team that I'm thinking about, and maybe this is just me, but you got to be sick to your stomach if you're Duke. Oh, boy. If you would have got Florida in this sort of performance, I know it's a matchup, and we would have expected Florida and Duke to be up and down, maybe a game that was in the 80s, high 80s. But if you're Duke right now, you're like, wait, we were up 6 against Houston with 30 seconds left, and we lost that game. So, that's the way the cookie crumbles. I thought Houston was the better team in this game for a majority of the game. But that's been the theme here in San Antonio, Akeem. No lead has been safe.
Nope.
It's like that sprinter in the Kentucky Derby that turns forward and starts looking over his shoulder. Here come the closers. You wanted to be a closer in San Antonio. And I have to say this to you, Akeem, was you picked Houston to win it. Houston, we have a problem.
Yes. Yeah, and I'll say this, and you can argue tooth and nail with me. Florida didn't win that game. Houston lost that game, Avery. Put that on a hot take. Put it up.
Florida won the...
You can say it. I'm going to disagree with you.
I'll put it up on a hot take.
Go for it.
No, Florida won the game. That would be a disservice to Florida if
I'm not trying to disservice. I'm not trying to disservice what they did. But as you know, the end of that game execution, that was sloppy.
That was sloppy, but also give Florida credit when they needed to inbound the ball against Houston's press. We talked about it.
That pass at the end of the game.
Yes,
I mean, he threw it to no man's land. We were like, oh.
But give Florida credit. They made a slight adjustment in the last 8 minutes of the games. It wasn't as many pick and rolls with Walter Clayton Jr. They were playing off the elbow. They got him free on a couple of cuts. They isolated him a little bit. So give them credit because, boy, they need every one of those 11 points in the last 8 minutes of the game.
All right, in all seriousness now, congrats to Florida. Congratulations to Todd Golden and that roster. It was an incredible run for them as they kept coming back 4 games in this tournament, down by 6 in the second half. It was snap. The Gators come back for multiple times. So, Avery, when you look at this as a whole for the SEC, 14 teams, a record for the conference sending to the NCAA tournament, what does this mean for Florida and for the conference?
Well, the conference is going to have to continue to spend money on that NIL. Hey, show me the money, because that's what it is. You look at a Walter Clayton Jr. Think about this. Walter Clayton Jr. played at Iona. He was the player of the year in the conference. Had an opportunity to go to St. John's. Florida stepped up. That's Tim Dole's reporting, not mine. And he went to Florida. If Walter Clayton Jr. is not in the Florida uniform, they don't win it. Maybe St. John's is here.
Yeah, you're right. No, think about that. If Walter Clayton Jr. was on St. John's this year because he played for Rick Pitino when he was at Iona, if he goes to St. John's, all of a sudden he becomes the missing link. And that's what it comes down to. You know, you were involved. People were bidding for Hunter's services over the last few years. Started his career at Michigan, ends up going to Kansas. Why is the SEC successful? Because they, and I'm talking about the whole conference, because of football, they already, for basketball, have the best business structure. This is a business. How are you going to build a roster? I talk about what kind of sauce you're going to have, and everybody's got a different sauce. But I think the key sauce for top-level programs that can spend the most money is you can go out and get a Will Richard, who's already proven. Elijah Martin's already gone to a Final Four. Walter Clayton, who's been around the block. And then a little sprinkle of some young guys to build your culture. That's the special sauce. The fact that they got not 1 year, but 2 years. I think it's that second year, guys. If you can get a guy out of school, that's when you're really starting to build a culture. So Kelvin Sampson's still doing it the old school way. 4 straight years of 32-plus wins, an amazing job of building a culture in an NIL world. But Florida just had better players, and at the end of the day, they just made a couple more plays, and they made their free throws, and Houston didn't.
Florida, the first
Avery,
SEC
they might have to
team.
rethink that rev share distribution.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah, get your NIL up. That's what they're going to be talking about. Florida, the first SEC team since Kentucky to win the national championship in 2012. Hey, look, I love Florida. Just want to be clear about that. Like, I don't want people to be like, hey, that guy hates Florida. No, that's what people think. Broadcasters just hate your team. No, I love Florida. It's one of the greatest states in America. So congratulations to the Gators. Chomp, chomp. And, hey, real quick, Hunter Dickinson, his first Final Four with us, doing post-game. Heck of a job, my friend. Best of luck wherever the road takes you. You got 2 pros right next to you there helping you along. You crushed it. We appreciate all your work out there in San Antonio.
1.5.
Boom.
Thank
Avery
you,
Johnson,
appreciate it.
Hunter Dickinson, Tim Doyle from San Antonio. Men, great work out there. Great stuff from them and great stuff from Florida. Yeah, come on, I don't hate Florida, okay? People are gonna be like, oh, that guy hates Florida. No, I don't, okay? I just had Houston winning it all. That's why. There you go. The truth comes out. Notable comebacks for the Gators. Multiple. 4 games in this tournament, down by 6 in the second half. Their largest comeback, the best for last. A 12-point deficit. They rally. The only team in the last 10 years with 3 9-point comeback wins in the Elite 8 or later. The Florida Gators are national champions once again. CBS Sports HQ is presented by Belfour Property Restoration, here with Chip Patterson. That was not the possession that Houston wanted. What just happened?
Right now, Houston, after taking care of the basketball for the first 35 minutes of this game, maybe even more, could not do it with the national championship on the line. A couple of turnovers, in fact, 4 of them in that final 5-minute sequence. Whether it is dribbling off your leg, whether it is losing the ball out of bounds, the turnovers all the way down to the very end with Emmanuel Sharp, just a heartbreaking way to go. This was a game where Houston expected that Florida was always going to make a charge back into it, but the fact that a team that out-executed the competition like it did against the Duke Blue Devils was the one that was on the other side of this. Hakeem, this was the anti-Duke finish for the Houston Cougars. They were the more composed team on Saturday night in the semifinals. The Florida Gators were the more composed team here on Monday night for the national championship.
Florida led this game for 64 seconds, and they win.
Tied for the
64 seconds.
Tied for the third biggest comeback in national championship game history. This Florida team has shown, whether it is against UConn, whether it is against Texas Tech, or whether it's even against Auburn, when they went into the locker room trailing at halftime, there is a relentlessness that is part of this team's DNA. The idea that a player like Walter Clayton Jr. could have 0 points at halftime and then they still come back and they're still going to him. And he didn't need to score 20 points like we thought he would score, because it was some of the three-pointers along the way, the game-tying shots, the shots that cut into the lead. It was going on a runner to the glass. The fact that their leader was not the leading scorer still showed how important it was, because once Clayton got going, the Gators got going. That is how Florida was able to outscore Houston 37-32 here in the second half.
That was uncharacteristic of this Houston squad. 4 turnovers in the last 2 minutes and 5 seconds. They had no points. That drought cost them the national championship. This is a team that took care of the basketball. Florida turning the ball over a bunch of times in the first half, not taking care of the basketball, and somehow, some way, the Florida Gators win this national championship. You're sitting there right now as a Houston Cougar fan, and you have to feel like one of the sickest fans in America right now. You thought you had that game, and nothing is like for sure, right? Even you're up by 12. You're not thinking, oh, this game's over. You're not saying, oh, we're winning this game. You got to lock down in the national championship. But you're sitting there as a fan of the Houston Cougars, or one of those kids. What went wrong in that late game execution? Because they have been in this spot so many times this season.
I think it started earlier. I think it started in the middle of the second half. Long possessions that ended up with bad shots.
Yeah.
A lot of dribbling outside the three-point line before they could even make it inside. This Houston team went on multiple droughts throughout the second half when, not scoring a lot didn't seem as impactful in the moment, because they were doing a very good job of limiting Florida's offense as well. But as you're going to go back and as you're just going to tear through every single one of these possessions, I think it will be as much some of those possessions when you were not able to extend a lead that you had built that are going to be as meaningful as the ones there at the end that ended up deciding Florida as the national champion. It's just Houston's offense ran out of steam long before those impactful minutes at the end. That's going to be something that's really going to hurt, because everything was slow to develop. They missed a lot of bunnies at the rim, and LJ Cryer put the team on his back, but he also missed a lot of shots as well. A lot of shot volume for the Cougars, not enough shots made.
Florida ended the game on a 35-21 run. Again, they led this game for 64 seconds. That's just that's mind-boggling when you think about the clutch moments and how every moment matters in a game of this magnitude, that they only led for 1 minute and 4 seconds. It's wild, and it's going to be something that Houston feels for a long time. They got back here for the first time since the 80s. Now they're here. Kelvin Sampson, 69 years old, 799 career wins, 299 wins at Houston. For it to end like that, I mean, that is just brutal.
But let's also look at the other side of this, because Todd Golden won this national championship when he put this roster together.
Sure.
Todd Golden wanted to have multiple bigs that he could throw out there. And what did we see? We saw Houston get in foul trouble, whether it's JoJo Tugler, Jaywan Roberts picked up a couple of fouls, Javier Francis had a couple fouls. And when they were trying to make plays there at the rim at the end of the game, they didn't get anything. It was Florida's size at the rim that contributed to Houston missing some of those bunnies and not being able to get the same offensive rebounds in the second half that they got in the first half. This was a Florida team that was always constructed to, yes, be able to come at you at waves when they're dominating, but also to be able to climb back into a game as they did all throughout this tournament. The fact that they did not hold the lead for but 64 seconds in this game, I think it's also important to note how long they were in the game, because who's leading on the scoreboard doesn't always represent what they're feeling inside that huddle. And I can tell you that Todd Golden was sending the message to that team, we are in this, we are in this, we are in this. And then they went and took it. And that has been the theme of this Final Four. This Final Four of all one seeds. This Final Four of champions, be they regular season or conference tournament champions. In Houston's case, it was both. But for this Final Four to win it would require more than almost any other Final Four that we've had in history, and it all came down to close game, pivotal moments in the second half, who was going to make the plays. Tonight, the Florida Gators made those plays.
Florida earning its third national championship in school history. Tracy Wolfson with the Gators right after they win it.
Coach, you told me that if you won this national championship, the feeling would be surreal. I can see the shock on your face right now. Take us through, though, the stretch of that game. You guys were down 12 points at one point. The fight that this team showed to get it done.
We did what we did all year. We stayed the course. We have the best backcourt in America. I think we have the best front court in America. And like we've done all year, we made plays when we needed the most. We guarded our butts off down the stretch, made every 50-50 winning play. The Gators are natty, baby. We got the natty, baby. We got the natty. Let's go!
Now, Will, you were his first commit. You guys lost in the first round, and the turnaround you were able to do. What was the difference with this team this year?
Just how connected we are. I mean, we all love each other. We love playing for each other, and we love being a Gator, man. Gator boys, stay hot.
Now, Walter, I know it wasn't the easiest game for you, but the feeling of being able to cut down the nets and hoist a national championship trophy.
Man, it's a feeling I can't even explain, man. I can't wait to. I love you, Mom. I can't wait to see my mama, man. Mama, I love you, girl.
You guys go enjoy this one. Congratulations.
Hey, shout out to all the people at the O-Dome. We had a sold-out O-Dome tonight. Gator basketball's back, baby. Let's go. Shout out Gator Nation, man. Y'all sold out all tournament.
14 teams from the SEC. This confirms it was, in fact, the toughest conference in college basketball. We already knew it, but this confirms that Florida cuts down the nets, because had they come up short, you'd say, yeah, you know, they sent 14 teams to the NCAA tournament, but they weren't good enough to win it all. They can't say that now.
You know what's scary about this one?
Tell me.
This was not the big splash hire. So when Mike Slive, RIP, first told the league, we are going to get serious about basketball, this is no longer going to be Kentucky and the 13 Dwarfs. We see Rick Barnes go get hired by Tennessee. We see Bruce Pearl go get hired by Auburn. This is an effort that starts with hiring coaches that were going to raise the level of the entire conference. Todd Golden, coming from San Francisco in the West Coast Conference, smart hire, sure. Maybe even a thrifty hire, might get some bang for your buck. But Todd Golden was not part of the big, splashy, image-changing hiring that happened in the Southeastern Conference. And yet he is the one that won this. Not Nate Oates at Alabama, not Bruce Pearl at Auburn, not Rick Barnes at Tennessee. Todd Golden from San Francisco in the West Coast Conference leads the Gators to a national championship. That means you've still got all those rock star coaches in this league, but oh yeah, now you've also got one of the very few coaches active in Division I men's college basketball to have a national championship. Todd Golden joins that list at the very, very young age.
The youngest head coach, 39 years old, to win the national title since Jim Valvano in 1983, who famously beat Houston. I mean, that just cuts deep right there. Because Houston was supposed to win it then, and I'm not saying they were supposed to win it tonight, but they had the chance. They're up double digits with 16 to play.
1982, they lose in the Final Four to North Carolina and Michael Jordan, Sleepy Sam Perkins, James Worthy. 1983, they lose to Jim Valvano, the Cardiac Pack. 1984, they lose to Georgetown. John Thompson, Patrick Ewing, and a loaded Hoyas team. A snake-bitten program here in the Final Four. This time got bit by the Gators.
All right, time now for the Belfour Player of the Game. And there's really one player to give it to, Chip. Who is it?
Oh, it's going to be Will Richard. When Todd Golden talks about them having the best backcourt in America, it's because he wants to not just give credit to Walter Clayton Jr., he wants to also be able to give credit to Elijah Martin and also to Will Richard, because at the beginning of this game, not only Walter Clayton was really struggling offensively, Florida as a whole was really struggling offensively. And you get 14 of Will Richard's 18 points are there in the first half, a lot of them coming from behind the arc. It was really the only offense that was being able to get going. He was the engine. He was keeping the Gators in this game. And that was always the story for Florida here, was just hang in the game, hang in the game, hang in the game. Will Richard, this is not the first time in this tournament that he has been stepping up when everyone else seems to be faltering. That was the true recipe here. Just like against UConn, just like in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, Will Richard when things aren't going well early, and then Walter Clayton when you need to shut the book on it late.
People are going to say that I'm a hater.
Okay.
Florida didn't win that game. Houston lost it. That's what I'm saying. I'm willing to own it. I'm willing to own it. I'm willing to own that, and you could argue with me, and I'm fine with that.
Well, hey, about this?
That's okay.
Let's go back to we were just talking about 1982.
Same. You could say the same for Duke in the last round against Houston.
Right.
But Houston came back and won that game.
Was that possession as bad as Georgetown throwing the ball away in 1982? Sleepy Floyd brings it back down and he throws it right to James Worthy.
Pretty bad.
You know,
it's like Chris Webber calling a timeout when you don't have any.
Houston was in foul trouble. They had empty possessions. They let Clayton get hot. I think there was a lot of places where they lost it before the final possession. 4
turnovers in the last 2 minutes. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't have 4 turnovers in the last 2 minutes in a national championship game and win it. Can't happen. Florida, the beneficiary, as they come back from double digits. It is tied for the 3rd largest comeback in national title game history. Down by 12, 16 minutes to play. As you see the others here, Kansas, that was an epic one. They were down by 16 to North Carolina and rallied to win that. Houston was trying to carry the flag for the Big 12. Instead, the SEC champions in 2025, the Gators, champ.